Can I beat Fallout New Vegas as yes man? I cannot lie, I can't say no, and to make it more interesting, I can only act based on information I get during this run. We start off in Doc Mitchell's house, and I didn't really know what to choose for my special stats. Do robots even have them? I forgot to check in-game. The wikis didn't mention them, so this is what I went with. 1 charisma, 5 intelligence, 6 agility, and 7 in strength, perception, endurance, and luck. The reason for intelligence and luck not being lower is I didn't really want to have 9s or 10s in any stat. As for the tagged skills, I went with guns, melee weapons, and science. Since I cannot be a Securitron, I went with the traits that I felt portrayed a human yes man. So, early bird and 4 eyes. Now, in this challenge, every bit of dialogue matters, and Doc Mitchell gives me my first tasks. He tells me to put on the Vault 21 jumpsuit, to talk with Sunny Smiles before leaving town, and if I ever get hurt, to come back to him, so he can fix me up. He also gave me the Mojave Express delivery order number 6, which will tell me where I'll need to go in case we're ever hit with that good old freedom of choice. Going outside, I encounter Victor, but he's just happy to see me. There's nothing for me to say yes to, so I go on to meet Sunny at the saloon. I tell her Doc Mitchell sent me, and I inevitably fall into the tutorial. We shoot a couple bottles, take care of some geckos, and we're even able to rescue the Goodsprings settler. Sunny then has me get some Xander root and Brock flower to learn the basics of survival. So I go to the Goodsprings cemetery, where bloatflies were dodging my bullets in a way that would make Neo jealous. But we grab the Brock flower, go near to the schoolhouse to step on a mantis and grab the Xander root, and back to Sunny we go. She then asks me the favor of introducing myself to Trudy, as she's quote-unquote kind of the town mom that likes to meet newcomers. So, back inside the saloon, and we see Trudy arguing with Joe Cobb. I had a golden opportunity to ask about something else, but I was just making it up as I go along, and this is where I made my first mistake. I asked her what they were gonna do about it. So why was it a mistake? Because I'm not why man, I'm yes man. But well, what's done is done, and I'll just have to learn with my mistakes, which in Goodsprings were a few. I exhausted her dialogue, so not only did that trigger Ringo's quest, she was also glad that I asked if she wanted me to fix her radio. Oh boy, that just led me into the first dilemma of the run, cause I don't have the repair skill for it. And the way I see it, hey, if you ask me to jump, I'll jump, but if you ask me to fly, I'll not, but that's simply out of my range of abilities. The reasoning being that the in-game Yes Man doesn't go after Mr. House or the Platinum Chip himself. Yes Man is not Grind Man until he makes good on being Yes Man. He's just himself. Anyways, I went to see Ringo, and he just had to ask me if I wanted to play a game of Caravan. I lost that game. Ringo then asks me who I can round up, and to start with Sunny. She immediately accepts and tells me to try and convince Trudy, Easy Pete, Chet, Doc Mitchell to help as well. Now, the good news is we're gonna get help. The bad ones, though, is that it's only Doc Mitchell, and he's only gonna give us a few steam packs. So yeah, skill checks. I didn't pass any. Since this mess started with me talking more than I needed to, I decided to go with Joe. Joe Mama then told me something I wasn't expecting. I guess you can't change sides once you get people on Ringo's side, but from here on out, I've got a good grasp on how I should act, and the shenanigans are over. So I tell Ringo we're ready, Sunny shows up, the Powder Gangers are on the move, and the fight is on. We managed to win, but Ringo and Cheyenne, they are a bit dead. Whoopsie. Without anything else for me to do, it's time to go into Prim. We pass through Gene skydiving, and the Powder Gangers start shooting at me on sight, so I take care of them, and since their camp is now empty, I decided to loot up the place. And that's when I find this letter. One of the lines says, "Follow the tracks up north, head towards the strip." You win? Yes, I have to. God damn it. The only reason I put up the rule of only acting based on info the game gave me was to prevent me from doing the skip from Goodsprings to the strip. And now the game makes me do it anyway. Then I see some more powder gangers on the way to Sloan, and who shows up? Victor. Never seen him on this part of the game, so that was interesting. I get to Sloan, and this is where Chomps Lewis put me on a mindfuck of semantics. If he were me, he'd turn back, but he's not me, and he doesn't tell me to turn back. In fact, he ends with, if I insist on going north, I shouldn't expect a rescue. Well, unlike Chomps, the note told me to get to the strip, so I guess I'll have to keep going. I visited Snuffles cause she's a cutie. And let's just get the skip over with. We passed through Neil's shack, and then I'm hit again with semantics. Now this one was tricky, and it could have gone either way. He suggests I turn back, and then tells me to move on. Well, moving on is not moving back, and the note said strip. Also, a suggestion is not a question for me to say yes, it's an advice. Get what I mean? Like I said, it's tricky and it could have gone either way. Well, into Freeside we go. A thug regretted attacking me, but I didn't let him get away with it. He wanted a fight, so I gave him what he asked for. I found the kid that's chasing a rat, and he said we're gonna have rat tonight, so I took care of the thing for him. Have a nice dinner, buddy. I've gotta get into the strip. I then get attacked by a couple of thugs, but Old Ben came to my rescue and we defeated them. He gave me some advice to not pass the Securitrons without talking to them, and yeah, it's just advice, but I'll take it. The Securitrons request a cab check or a passport, so I'm just gonna sell everything I don't need from the courier stash and come back. Upon returning, he allows me to proceed. Once inside, Victor tells me to go and meet Mr. House, and well, that's an offer I cannot refuse. I've looted the casino, got the golden gloves, not that I'm planning on ever using them, and Mr. House then clues in that we were working for him when we got shot. And that he wants us to get the platinum chip back, that he doesn't care what happens to Benny, and that he'll quadruple our pay for the job we were already under contract for. I may be forced to accept it, but at least this time I'm happy to know someone will make it worth my while. We get out of the Lucky 38 casino, move on to the next street of the strip, and the game crashes. Except this crash is gonna completely change the rest of the run, because upon loading back, an NCR trooper tells me to go and meet Ambassador Crocker. That wasn't in the plans. Guess I'm going with the NCR instead of House then. Crocker asks me to find the boomers and to get them on the NCR side, which isn't really a thing. I can only get them on my side, but still. On the way to Nellis, we find George, who really wants to make a bet on whether I survive or not. Alright, double my money, pal. Raquel then tells me that Mother Pearl wishes to talk with me. And Pearl then goes on about how they have been waiting for an outsider for over 5 years, even though they greet everyone as if Oppenheimer was their favorite scientist. She then asks me to help the folk around. Pete gives me a tour I've heard way too many times. Loyal asks me to repair the solar panels while telling me they have no spare parts. Okay. Jack asks for some scrap metal, but what he really wants is something he didn't open up about. Yeah, I'm sure you can imagine how well the boomers bit is gonna go. Except Raquel asks me to clear out the ants and turn the generators back on, and that we can easily do. Also, Argyle didn't accept my help because I'm neither a medic or able to lie to him. So I go back to Loyal because Raquel told me he'd have a sonic emitter that would help. But he didn't give it to me because my skill check did not pass. So, a lot of ants, a couple generators later, and Raquel is quite pleased. In the Nellis array, I don't have the repair skill for it, or the spare parts. And yes, Loyal marked it on my map, but he did not tell me where they were, and there wasn't enough boomers for me to help without grinding anyway. So I make use of the rule that if you don't give me the info, I'll only do it if I stumble into it. Cause even with the parts and scrap for Jack, that wouldn't be enough to go back to Crocker. Meaning, finishing the Boomer's quest. Which leads me to the next issue. Crocker only told me to go back when I had the Boomers sorted out, and I don't. So, what was I asked to do that I can actually do? Benny, let's get that platinum chip. The chairman greeter asks for my weapons, he can have at it. Benny's a bit surprised after seeing a dug-up courier he shot in the head coming back to his place of work, and gives me the key to the presidential. One very predictable ambush later, and we go investigate his room to try and find more clues, and that's when we find Yes Man. Everything that Yes Man says to me, however, is completely hints. There's no kill house, get the chip, or let's do this. It's all if you want, if you decide to do it, etc. So guess Yes Man won't be a contender for who I finished the run with. Once we're outside of the tops, Vulpes tells me that Kaiser wants to meet us, so that's gonna be our next task. The best route to get to Cottonwood Cove is gonna be through the usual towns, so to Prim we go. An NCR trooper tells me that Prim is off limits and that I may want to talk to Lieutenant Hayes. And well, I may, but I also may not. Either way, I did. Hayes did a lot of complaining about his situation, but he didn't really ask me to do anything. I'd have to ask him if he wanted help, and I'm not a pleaser, I'm a yes man, so to Nipton we go. Oliver's happy, and who wouldn't after what he went through? Then we meet Vulpes once again, and he tells us to spread the lessons that the Legion taught here. Fortunately, that's something we can easily do along the way. It's too close to where I'm headed to fully call it a detour. So, in the Mojave outpost, Sergeant Kilborn receives the bad news and we finally approach Searchlight, where First Sergeant Astor tells me to
head north toward Novak.
Head north towards Novak. Now this is an unnecessary detour.
Stay safe.
Oh man. Since I've got to go to Novak for nothing else other than to get the map marker, I've decided to visit the great Nobark. He told me his stories, didn't request anything, and we get on our way to Cottonwood Cove, passing by the Sniper's Nest just to avoid Camp Searchlight like I was instructed. A Legion explorer sees I'm wearing the Mark of Kaiser and tells me that Lucullus is waiting for me and that I can continue. Lucullus then paddles for a couple of hours so we can meet a bald man named Edward that's a bit too into the Roman Empire. Ben is in the corner, but he's on timeout. If he speaks, Kaiser will execute him. Kaiser then asks me to destroy whatever's in the bunker beneath the fort and doesn't suggest, but instead tells me to speak with Benny.
Oh, you don't want to do that, baby. Whatever's down in that bunker is the key to the city called Vegas. So here's what you do. You go down there and you use the chip to do whatever Mr. House would have wanted you to do. And when you get back to the strip, you find Yes Man. I made it so that cat can't help but be helpful. Dig?
Benny then tells me that I don't want to do what Kaiser asked, and that wouldn't be enough for me to agree. However, he says what I should do instead. Wow, I'm gonna have to listen to Benny. And once again, semantics play a role because I'm not intelligence one man, I'm yes man. Fully able to understand what I can't say no to and the unspoken undertone that I'll have to say yes to. He wants me to do the yes man ending. Well, we go into the weather monitoring station where the station guard gives me my weapons back. Funny enough, he just told me that Kaiser put a lot of trust in me and that I should be worth it. Had he told me to follow Kaiser's will, then Benny's spiel would have been thrown away in a single sentence. But moving on, we insert the platinum chip in the machine and get into the bunker, where Mr. House shows up on a screen telling me to manually upload the chip into the facility's primary computer. So I do as Mr. House asked, get out of the bunker and realize that something is weird. Okay, so I'm outside the bunker. Kaiser's up the hill, but Benny prevails over him. House told me to work for him, but he only told me to upload the chip. So, that's done. And I'm not gonna go back to Kaiser because Benny told me to go to Yes Man after doing what House wanted. Throughout the run, I've always defaulted to a previous request once one was not doable. This time, I'm left wondering the semantics in a different way. Yes, House told me to work for him, but the only job he gave me was to upload the chip. Meanwhile, Benny told me to go along with House and then go back to Yes Man. I've watched the dialogues several times before making a decision, and the way I see it, I can't not go with Benny. Because, after all, it was the last thing I said yes that I can both do and haven't done. So, back to Yes Man, and he tells me that he wouldn't want to tell me what to do. Oh, the irony that I'm stuck with him for the time being because Benny told me to. Well, gotta meet the rest of the tribes then. In the Ultralux, we only have to speak with Mortimer, and the only request I got was to hand them my weapons once inside. Regarding the Khans, I only have to discover their main camp, so we can ignore them. Now, exploring the area around the Hidden Valley, where a couple centaurs are holding up, we can find a holotape that'll grant us access to their bunker. Talking to Paladin Ramos would have been enough, except he asks me to speak with Elder McNamara. The Elder then gives me a necklace that's the bomb and tasks me with finding more about an NCR ranger that's been scouting the area. Dobson, he talks the talk but won't walk the walk and decides to keep on scouting. I don't have the time for this, so a stealth boy and a healthy dose of machete swings take care of him. I then get back to the Brotherhood bunker where I'm finally able to exchange the explosive collar around my neck for the sweet, sweet taste of freedom. The Elder tells me I can now move in and out. Really? But he also tells me to go to his desk once I can, cause he has something he wants to discuss with me. Well, I can't say no, so fine, let's see what he wants. McNamara proceeds to tell me that 3 of his teams have gone missing, and he wants to get to the bottom of it. So that's what we're gonna be doing. On our way out, Head Paladin Harden interrupts us to say how this chapter of the Brotherhood has been having some issues. He hints that he'd be a much better leader and ranted about a protocol, but he only asked me to think about it. I mean, he didn't tell me to help him. He was just patting himself on the back while oversharing, really. And he also recommended me see Ramos first, and sure, it was just a recommendation, but I get what he was implying, so whatever, we'll do it. Ramos tells me how McNamara was the reason they survived Helios, and that there's only a few cases of elders being dismissed from their posts. He granted me access to their data store so we can look at their history and told me to see Senior Scribe Ibsen. Ibsen then complains about something else, and between the option of asking if I could be of help or telling him it sucks to suck, I went with the latter. And since none of them other than McNamara has something for me to say yes to, or actually something I cannot say no to, let's go find those teams, shall we? We've already found the soldiers near Hidden Valley that the centaurs took care of, so 2 left to go. The first one is near Nellis, the boomers really did a number on them, and the others in Repcon. But they were in an area I couldn't go through because I didn't have the luck picking for it, so back to the strip. Regarding the Omertas, all I had to do was to get in and out of the casino. Speaking to the greeter is enough. And we can now tell Yes Man that we can ignore all of the 5 tribes. Yes Man then tells me that all that's missing is getting Mr. House out of the picture. And he doesn't tell me to do it, but Benny did. And I haven't had a major faction sway me in a different direction, so yeah. But this time, we won't be killing Mr. House. We're only gonna be disabling him, just for a nice change of pace. Yes Man then joins us in the Lucky 38 and showcases the Securitron's defenses upgrade. When asked, we tell him we don't care about Kimball, and he sends us to the Eldorado substation. I tried fighting the NCR, but there was just too many of them, so I just went on in and did the thing, and then when I came back, none of them seemed to care. I thought they'd aggro. Apparently it's fine. We're getting close to the end, so I went to the gun runners and to Doc Mitchell to stock up on ammo and stim packs. I had to change my armor because you can't really repair your outfits in New Vegas, so I dressed up as an NCR member and then went back to Yes Man. It's finally Hoover Dam time. I still can't believe that Benny's will prevailed, but it is what it is. On the dam, we take care of so many Legion members that I end up with enough super sledges to repair one to its full potential. And inside the offices, since I'm wearing NCR armor, the heavy power armored dudes simply let me through. I tell Yes Man I've decided to power up the Securitrons instead of destroying the dam. And going out of the room, the troopers tell me that I shouldn't be there, but I've already done all I wanted, so let's just activate said army.
Stop right there. No one is allowed into the control room.
On the east side of the dam, the Legion doesn't stand a chance against the super sledge, and it's time to move into the Legates camp. All the soldiers before Lanius were easy pickings, but this is where things took a turn for the worse. I'm really underprepared for this battle. A dozen reloads or so later, and I managed to hurt Lanius to half his health, where he started running away, giving me a window to take care of the two Praetorian guards fighting beside him. With that going for me, I still needed a couple tries between luck, staggers, and the super sledge getting a crit to get him down. More guards showed up, but without Lanius throwing explosives my way or killing me in 2, 3, 4 hits, it ended up being doable. The thing is that General Lee Oliver is on his way and all my stim packs are toast. He then shows up, decides to teach me nearly all of the swear words in the English language, but gets real smooth and easy once an army of Securitrons arrives. So as soon as combat begins, I run for my life and wait for the Securitrons to do my job for me. No biggie. Yes Man then shows up with a victorious smile and we're done. So can I beat Fallout New Vegas as Yes Man? Yes! And a big shout out to Steve Whittle for becoming the channel's first member. The next challenge is gonna be the one he recommended. It's gonna be a good one, so I'll keep it a surprise. I'm Kyan. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I'll see you on the next one. And I hope you have a good one. Bye.
Everything will be okay. It was fun. Take care.
And so the
Yes Man.
who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Goodsprings cheated death once again.